us on this segment of Art You Can See in a Day. I'm your host, Claborn. We are here in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the Harweldon Mansion to see the sculpture by the local artist, Rosalind Cook, called the Minstrel. This is a larger-than-life sized piece standing 10 feet tall. It's made from clay and bronze using a molding method very similar to the ancient lost wax process. After several steps in the molding and casting process, when the bronze is hardened and dry, the bronze is colored. Ancient Asians would bury their bronze pieces to oxidize them, sometimes for months or even years. In modern times, this process can be accomplished much quicker, within hours. The coloring is referred to as the patina. The patina is applied by spraying or brushing chemicals onto the bronze. Different chemicals are used depending on the desired color. The entire process is quite labor-intense, often taking many months to complete. The sculpture is a depiction of a minstrel playing on his flute and dancing over a flower. It's a sculpture in the round. It is designed to be viewed from all angles. The image represents a trifecta of the arts: dancing, playing music, and elements of dramatic theater. Rosalind Cook created this piece as a tribute to the arts and the joy that humanities brings into an otherwise dull existence. There's a great sense of movement and joy portrayed by the minstrel. Historically, a minstrel has been a symbol of the development of the arts and humanities. Minstrels were oftentimes traveling poets or musicians who thrived in European culture throughout the Middle Ages. They would travel neighboring countries and villages, entering the local towns and villages, entertaining them with dance, music, songs, instruments, and stories. Particularly striking to me are the lines and angles used to create the feeling of joyous amusement and movement. The minstrel appears very light-footed, as if he is not burdened by gravity quite as much as the rest of us. The shoes are very pointed and angular, coming to a sharp cone shape at the toes. The style of shoes and attire has an eclectic Renaissance feel to it. There's great detail in the physical features of the minstrel. In particular, notice the detail in the hands. The hands are long and slender and have a very broken-in appearance. This accurately displays the idea that these artists worked incredibly hard with their hands for decades. The spaces in between the bones on the hand are inverted, which helps the hands appear quite slender and aged. Even the veins in the hands are visible. The legs are quite interesting as well in their naturalistic detail. The legs appear to have areas of discoloration. Perhaps this was intended by the sculptor to portray the well-worn look of a traveling man. The muscles in the calves are well defined, which would have resulted from the minstrel's nomadic-like lifestyle. Minstrels were explorers as well as artists. The emotion in the face evokes the feeling that the minstrel is concentrating, very focused, almost losing himself in his music, as if nothing else exists in that moment. If there were a live audience, this minstrel appears unaware of one, as if he would dance and play the same way when no one is watching as he would for a large crowd. There are elements of focus, concentration, joy, and also discipline. Music and the arts meant more to these traveling entertainers than just their means of making a living. It was their identity, their world, and they got lost in it. It was not an easy life, with the travel, hunger, sometimes minimal wages or none at all. On the chest lies imposed masks, one frowning, one smiling, displaying the contrast of emotions we must all experience. In spite of that, the artist is consumed by his passion and does this very exhausting occupation with inherent joy. The artist used curvilinear angles and long lines to create the feeling of movement and space. The knee is rising up at an exaggerated angle, as if the minstrel is gearing up to make a particularly purposeful stomp during his love dance. Rosalind Cook utilized many lines and creases on the face, which gives the minstrel an aged appearance, an appearance of a man who has likely experienced much pain, obstacles, difficulties, as well as great satisfaction and self-fulfillment. To me, this sculpture is almost like a pep talk. If the sculpture could speak, I believe what I would hear the minstrel saying is this: life is hard. I've been around a while. It's been an uphill battle, but I fought with sweat and tears. I fought, I lived, I loved. At times I crumbled in sorrow, but always I got back up and I danced. So perhaps we can all have an extra bounce in our step and strive to lift one knee a bit higher and keep stomping joy out of this life. May every man find his own heart's sacred song to dance to.